Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about maybe a plateau in the cannabis industry. We're starting to see that there's an anti-vaping movement, which could put a dent in cannabis products. But even before that, there was the FDA's warning to Curaleaf about claims. And now we're seeing that Pax Labs cut its workforce 25%. There's other companies out there that have cut their workforce at 50%. And so on the line with us to discuss this new movement is Dan Chemist, our CBD correspondent with Good CBD Products.
Don't cut me, Chronic. I'm half the cast.
So this report from Yahoo Finance talks about the FDA and the FTC warning companies about unapproved cannabidiol products and unsubstantiated claims to treat certain ailments. And so with that, coupled with the drop in wholesale CBD prices from $7,000 a kilo down to $3,000, I expect to see $1,000 per kilo shortly within the year, maybe 18 months max. As we're already starting to see CBG and other rare cannabinoids come out in lieu of a CBD's drop in price. You want to see a higher margin with other cannabinoids. So there's a shift in the market, and I think other companies may be hired on too soon. I was recruited by one of these e-commerce platforms, and they're one of the companies that have laid off half their workforce, literally 50% of them. Some of them been there for 4 years, gone. So they scaled up, kind of got rid of some of their fundamental revenue generators, thinking that this kind of e-commerce and wholesale CBD market was going to be there forever, and then forgot about what generated that revenue to begin with.
All right, you see it all the time, the complexity of, you got to change, and at the same time, you got to remember what got you there. And then, of course, you're also, in this case, you're talking about the fundamental issue. You're dealing with a flash-in-the-pan industry, potentially, one where, when you look at the margins somebody made on day one of going legal in Washington State and what they make today, right? Again, a complex brew, my brother, and yet, is it over? No, I think it's just starting, personally.
I do too. You still see a lot of the claims, and some of the examples of the unsupported claims were that CBD oil may have neuroprotective properties and may protect against neurological conditions. Another claim was that increasing evidence suggests that CBD oil is a powerful option for pain, anxiety, and autism. Another claim was possible uses for CBD include helping with skin problems such as acne, autism, ADHD, and even cancer. So obviously you can't make those claims. And if that's the only thing that's setting some of these mom and pops apart is making claims, then they didn't really have, a business plan to begin with. And we've both said, just kind of seeing the influx of CBD companies, a lot of them are going to go out of business.
Yeah, I got a little different lens on it myself. I kind of look at it this way. I think CBD is important for general health and wellness. And then if it's important for general health and wellness, then it would make sense that if you have something that's important for general health and wellness will help it some, right? So the next thing you know, you're like, oh my God, this stops my incurable fill in the blank. No, it helps general health and wellness, and general health and wellness helps everything, right? At least that's my opinion.
The way that cannabis was regulated is outside of the drug market, outside of the FDA, right? So normally, most drugs have to go through the FDA for approval for drugs, for any kind of ailments, conditions, or otherwise. This is really the first time that it's been approved by, the people. They voted in a drug. And so it depends on what lens you're looking at. Are you looking at the holistic side? Then you need to appreciate the fact that it's been approved without FDA involvement. And then on the flip side, if you're looking at it just as a commodity agricultural crop, then we're still kind of fighting for more legitimacy with banking and even in calling it an agricultural crop. But nonetheless, a lot of people jumped in. There's a lot of speculation driving that price up, eventually coming back down, kind of crashing. And there's some victims. Pax Labs cutting their workforce 25%. A lot of CEOs, record number of CEOs and CFOs are leaving right now. And I think that's an indication of a peak, not only in cannabis, but in the equity market overall. And they probably don't want to deal with the onslaught that's about to occur. I think there's going to be a massive amount of consolidation as the market just drops. There's talks about WeWork being bankrupt. They were valued at 47 billion, but SoftBank just basically bought them for 6.5 billion, and they own them. So the CEO is gone, he's out, and we're going to see the same thing with MedMen. I think that multi-state operator is probably on the brink of bankruptcy for the same reasons. They bought a lot of commercial real estate at a lot of high valuations, and their CEO, CFO, I think they've gone through a couple of CFOs at this point. I think we'll see some serious cutbacks, if not mergers, bankruptcies, capitulation, a lot of turmoil, a lot of volatility.
The A word, Chronic, accountability, right? This is the thing. You're a CEO, you're a CFO, you're somebody up there in the power chain, right? And you're pitching investors and you're talking about the rosy aspect of the cannabis industry. And then all of a sudden reality comes up and, slaps your supply chain, et cetera, in the face. And so, of course, as the accountability wheel turns, a lot of these individuals who, were in the middle of cannabis in the hysteria days, which are past, okay, there's going to be a toll going to be paid.
Absolutely. I mean, there's already tariffs with China. So anybody that's trying to get greenhouse equipment, lighting, metal for extraction equipment, all of that is going to be impacted by tariffs and increased prices. You've seen CanTrust, publicly traded company up in Canada. They've had their issues with their stock price plummeting with everyone else. There's been retracements of about 62%. You're looking at whether it's Altria owning part of Juul and their huge stake. They've had to write off a bunch of money. Constellation Brands had to write off $50 million. All of those companies are struggling right now. There's going to probably be a huge amount of layoffs as everyone kind of hired on a little bit too soon, a little bit too strong. And I believe that there's kind of a plateau. So unless Cannabis 2.0 in Canada can save their market, which I don't think is going to happen, there's going to be a lot more scrutiny on U.S. companies in order to avoid that investment debacle that we've seen with the speculation in Canada. There's going to be more investors looking through traditional lenses and really being more a value investor rather than speculative.
Anybody in business, in real business, will tell you, you wait until you are overrun, okay, to hire. Okay, you wait till you're so underwater, you're so busy that you got no way but to hire. Going out and getting ready, and that's what a lot of these cannabis companies did, right? They went out and they got ready for the big thing that's coming. Well, labor sitting around, working on projects to come is about the least efficient thing you can do with a business. And again, you're seeing it right now. It's a lot of these businesses look at their projections, look at what's happening in the market. And again, these retrenchments, frankly, I'd be embarrassed. I'd be embarrassed if I was somebody like some of these companies that have hired up and then have to cut, 30 or 50%, walk into the new hire 6 weeks later and say, yeah, I'm sorry, we're letting you go. Ugh.
I would hold the board accountable first and foremost. It starts at the top down. So the board, a lot of them don't feel the empowerment because they don't really understand the industry. They've been brought in as advisors from outside the industry. And then a lot of the employees don't have the empowerment either. So a lot of them, like Canopy, are just PR. They're press releases. They're talking about giving equity to these companies and making millions where they're not generating revenue. And so, like you mentioned, as soon as there's accountability from shareholders or from the board or from somewhere, I don't think that those first movers are going to have the advantages that they should have, because that wheel is slowing. The amount of capital and investment and deals are slowing down, and they're becoming much more focused with smaller dollar amounts, kind of more traditionally, rather than just huge influxes of cash. So it'd be interesting to kind of see what happens in the marketplace in 2020 as some of the more asset allocation happens, and maybe there's more wisdom in the market. They've seen it. There's trend lines now, and they're going to be more discerning about what they do with their cash.
We'll see.
We will see. You're going to have to come back to the Talking Hedge and find out. So with that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out.